I hate to be the one to share this with you, but I tend to be very blunt. But I'm going to share some information with you that you may or may not be aware of, and that is that there are a lot of agents out there who will simply be untruthful, who will lie to you, who will mislead you. And typically it's because they either don't know or it's for their benefit. And finally, I'm going to share with you how to spot an agent who will give you all the information, be truthful with you. Whether it costs them a sale, means you don't move here, they have your benefits, your interest at heart. And that's what you want. So let me jump in and give you those free details. So first, let's talk about the why. Why would a real estate agent mislead you, not give you the whole truth, or even lie to you? Well, many agents do this simply because it is in their best interest. They work on commission, they put time and effort into a real estate transaction, and then they get paid when it closes. So in order to make sure the transaction closes, they may or may not give you all the information that you need. If there's information that's negative for your transaction, negative to you, that has a negative effect on you deciding to move forward, it may not be presented the way it should. Maybe they put a positive spin on it. But the bottom line is that they want to get the closing done so they can get paid. And that's the way the real estate business works. Now, I'm not saying all agents do this by any means. That's simply not the case. But there are a lot who do. It also could stem from lack of knowledge. And yes, we all know that everyone in the real estate business is trained to say, well, I don't know, let me find out. But some people are a little too prideful to do that. And if someone does not know common things and have to find out, that might be a red flag for you. You see, the National Association of Realtors, this is the organization that advocates for real estate agents. 87% of real estate agents are not successful past 5 years. That means that a lot of real estate agents that are out there working in the business won't even be around much longer. And that is something that should be concerning to anyone who's moving to a new area and is depending on the knowledge and experience of the agent representing them in order to make a decision. Now, let's talk about some of the things they might mislead you on that you want to keep a watch for. So what might an agent be tempted to mislead you about? What would be in their best interest? Why would they do it? Well, how about the question, is it a good time to sell? You know, if an agent says it's a good time to sell all the time, then you might consider that a red flag. You see, there are literally months of the year that are better to sell than others. And to override all that, what about your best time? What is your best time to sell? What is personally within your life and what's going on right now the best time to sell for you? So if you say, hey, is this a good time to sell? And it says, oh yeah, absolutely, this is a great time to sell. Everybody knows March, April, May, June are good, so this is good. But what if it's not good for you? What if you were really hoping to sell at another time? Well, if that agent doesn't know statistically what is going on in the retirement market in Georgetown, Texas, or the 1 acre plus market, or the subdivision market, they may not be familiar with what really is a good time to sell. How would it fit into your schedule? And does your schedule fall into a good time to sell? Because there truly are months of the year that aren't a good time to sell. And very few agents are aware of and will make you aware of that. And they're not going to go find out and do the research to do that, because guess what? You putting your house in the market means that they get the opportunity to earn a commission. Now, what if you say, hey, I don't really want to sell right now, but I might sell if I could get this? Well, if an agent agrees to that and doesn't provide supporting data that allows you to understand and see that you could get that price, then that's a red flag. The bottom line is that a lot of agents, and I see it right now, right here in this market, I see homes in the market at prices that shouldn't even have been considered, just shouldn't have. And it's not a service to you, and quite sincerely, it's not a service to prospective buyers either. But if a real estate agent puts your home on the market at a price that is not realistic, it's going to sit there. Now, let's just say that you really do need to sell, and you say, hey, I want to sell, but I want this price. Well, real estate agents tend to lean toward the chance of getting a commission. So they'll put your home on the market at that price with the hopes that they can get you down to a reasonable price later. Well, here's the way that works. A reasonable price later is typically less than if you'd have put the home on the market at an appropriate price to begin with. Study after study after study, including my own, as well as third-party unbiased studies, show that putting a home on the market and getting it sold without having to lower the price puts more net dollars in your pocket at closing. That's simply a fact. It is proven over and over and over, year after year, decade after decade. So putting a house in the market and going through the process of lowering the price until you get it sold actually costs you money. Now, how does that make sense? I put my home in the market at a lower price and I'll make more money? Yes, that is actually the case. So I do consider it untruthful for an agent not to make his client or her client aware that that price is not realistic and the home should not go on the market at that price. And what about the buy side? Is this a good time to buy a home? If it's always a good time to buy a home, again, might be a red flag because there are better times than others. Could be a seasonal situation, could be a market situation. And again, in Georgetown, Texas, because we have varying markets that perform a little differently than each other, 1 acre plus, 55 plus, new homes, typical subdivisions, master plan communities, they actually perform differently. Is it a good time to buy in an area is a better question because it might be a great time to buy in one specific area and not another. But if it's always a great time to buy and the opportunity to make a commission is in front of them and you go out and look at houses and find one that you like, is this a good value? Is it? If it seems to always be a good value, then again, that's a red flag. Because as a buyer, you should expect the same level of service and investigation and research that a seller does when it comes to pricing their home. When you find a home you like, do you get the research and investigation that you need? The valuation, the history of the house in the neighborhood, the potential trend based on that? If an agent isn't willing to say, look, I know you seem to like this home, but here's some things you need to understand about it. Here's some trade-offs, some downsides possibly. If they're not doing that, then they may not be fully truthful with you. The market's not always perfect, and every house isn't just right. So pay attention to that and make sure that you're getting the information you need to make the best decision for you. Again, I don't really want to harp on this and I don't really want to just recommend that you hire someone with over 3 decades of experience because there just aren't that many of us around. There's some fantastic agents that have different levels of experience, but experience plays a huge role. And experience shows up in many ways. For example, you probably want to know the 5 negotiating traps that you'll be put into so that you can navigate out of those and have the most profitable transaction possible. You'd probably also like to know the 4 biggest, most impactful decisions that you'll make that will affect your transaction and your profits for the long term. If you'd like that type of information, just shoot me a text. We'll make sure we get it into your hands. And you deserve to know all the information. In my opinion, if you're not getting it, then information is being left out, and that's untruthful. For example, in the 55 plus real estate market in Georgetown, Texas right now, there's one particular neighborhood that is a big challenge to get a home sold. And you would want to know that before you bought a home in that neighborhood. Now, it may not be that way 5 years from now, but that's the situation now, and you deserve to know that. Same thing in the master plan community. Very popular master plan community, virtually impossible to get a home sold in today's environment. Now that will change, it always does. But you need to know the history and the potential trend of whatever neighborhood and home you buy. And there's no doubt that a lot of that comes from experience. Let me give you a couple examples of experience real quick. I happen to be the listing agent on a situation where the buyer came along and had their inspections, and their inspector recommended that the foundation be double checked by someone who was an expert in that area. That caused my seller some concern, but I assured them that I didn't feel like there was any problem, and this was not going to be an issue. The foundation company did their inspection and recommended $16,000 worth of work. That concerned my seller, but again, I reassured them and told them I felt there was no issue. Now, how could I have an opinion that supersedes that of a foundation company? Well, foundation companies, a lot of them do really good work, but they are looking for work. So I recommend to my seller that we bring in a professional, a third-party, unbiased professional, an engineer. We did so. The engineer did their work, and their conclusion was, there's no issue here. As a matter of fact, the engineer even mentioned to me, gosh, I'm not sure why you brought me in. I explained the foundation report, and he said, oh, okay, I get it. But there was no problem. An inexperienced agent on the other side could have cost that buyer getting the home they truly loved because of a false report. And my seller would have lost their sale. One more quick one. We had an agent one time, I was a listing agent again, who had the inspection report assessed and bid sight unseen. Very, very bad idea. They come up with $6,000 worth of repairs. My seller and I were expecting probably $500 to $1,000. Well, I actually had somebody come out on the job, look at the house physically in person, and the total came to about $800. $6,000 versus $800. That agent did not have the contacts that they could use to give viable, accurate conclusions regarding the work needing to be done, nearly costing their buyer the home that they loved and matched up to very well, and my seller a sale that was a timely and that they would have liked to have had. We did go ahead and close both of those, just so you know. Neither of those agents misled their buyers on purpose. They misled their buyers based on inexperience. So what I'm trying to point out is very simply that there are a lot of agents out there who will mislead to get their commission, and there are agents who will mislead because they don't know any better. Now I'm going to talk about some factors and nuances in Georgetown, Texas, where you might be misled without knowing it. So Georgetown, Texas is absolutely a wonderful town. Beautiful scenery, incredible golf courses, historic downtown, most beautiful town square in Texas, voted over and over and over. Has more 55 plus communities, more 1 acre plus homes, more new homes, has established neighborhoods and master plan communities. It's a small town, but it offers an incredibly diverse type of housing. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. And here's some areas where you might feel misled and where I see people kind of feeling misled when they purchase a home in Georgetown, Texas. First of all, let's talk about the heat. Yes, everyone's probably going to disclose that, but are they going to disclose it fully? You see, the heat season in Central Texas lasts from about May to September. Maybe a little bit in October, but May to September is a pretty good estimate. And yes, 80s, 90s, the average doesn't look too terrible, but we do see 100+ degree days. Depending on the summer, that could be several weeks or longer of those type of days. So it affects your purchase because, you know what? A home that has shade will help your utility bills. Big trees make a difference. Modern windows, modern HVAC, air conditioning, and insulation, these all have a big impact. And lifestyle. You see, those of us who live here know that we're going to take our walks in the morning or play pickleball or golf early when it's not too hot. Now, I'm going to admit to you, it's not even really cool in the morning. Sometimes it is in the summer, but at least it's not unbearable. You can get out and do your outdoor activities, but you'll spend your afternoons typically indoors. I've got friends up north. I say, hey, you guys spend indoors during the winter. We spend indoors during the summer. That's something you need to be very aware of. If you have medical issues, if you really love the idea of a home on a large lot, maintenance of that yard and a landscape could be a challenge during those very hot months. And if you decide to hire someone to do it, the expense needs to be taken into consideration. So the Texas heat is definitely something you need to take into consideration. The growth in Georgetown is certainly another factor to consider. It's not the lazy little town that it used to be. Yes, it feels quaint, it feels incredibly quiet and serene in certain areas. But as a whole, Georgetown is growing very fast. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. We've even topped the charts at #1. And that's going to keep going, 26 and beyond. There's so many developments and projects that are going to be happening, companies moving to Georgetown. So growth does play a role, plays a role in traffic. Traffic is certainly going to play a role whether you're commuting to and from certain places or just go once in a while. The more often you commute to and from, for example, the same type of appointments, the more you're going to want to take into consideration where you locate in Georgetown, Texas. You see, we are a small town, but we're pretty spread out. And being on one side or the other could be a big difference in the commute time to, say, medical appointments that you have repetitively. Another factor where I find that retirees and purchasers in Georgetown, Texas feel a little misled is, well, neighborhood fit and lifestyle. See, quite sincerely, there are a lot of agents that work the Georgetown, Texas market, but there are very few that truly understand and know the Georgetown, Texas real estate market. I know someone, for example, who lives in Sun City. It's a wonderful place to live, of course, but they pay the fees there and they use nothing. They get no benefits from it. That'd be a great place to live anyway, but if you can live somewhere that you like without paying the fees, why not? I do know a retiree who bought a home on small acreage. Actually, it's about an acre. Very, very pretty property. But as time went by, they really grew weary shortly after buying up managing that large property. And the expense of hiring somebody to take care of it for them was a little byound what they expected. I know somebody that just fell in love with the views and the rolling, undulating land in East Georgetown. But once they moved in, they realized that the distance to the things they'd like to be at were just more than they anticipated. So having someone that truly understands the Georgetown, Texas real estate market and tells you the whole truth about the various neighborhoods and lifestyles and how they might fit you is going to be really important for you. So near the beginning of the video, I did promise to share with you how to spot, identify an agent who will be totally trustworthy and honest with you. Here are some key points. Agents who will share both the pros and the cons, who will give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I may have mentioned this, but you know, a lot of agents work Georgetown, Texas real estate, but not a lot of agents are intimately familiar with Georgetown, Texas real estate. It's easy to learn the good. It takes time and experience to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly and be willing to share it. Your agent really should be familiar with the different 55+ communities because there are a variety of them around the Georgetown area. And they have different HOA nuances, different feels, different vibes. You just want to be sure that you see what you need to see in order to fit your lifestyle the best. And if you're thinking about established neighborhood or even a larger lot, you want an agent who truly understands the ins and outs of septics and wells and private roads and the things that go along with that. And an agent who truly is familiar with Georgetown, Texas real estate. Which neighborhoods are hot? Which neighborhoods are cold? Which are in between? What's a history been? And of course, things that affect you. Medical access. Georgetown is solid as far as medical support is concerned. But sometimes you have to go to Round Rock or Austin. And what does that entail? What are future traffic issues going to be based on where you're located and getting to those appointments? And again, a lot of different neighborhoods have different types of personalities. Different types of housing has different types of maintenance issues. And being familiar with Texas isn't enough. Having someone who's familiar with the Georgetown, Texas real estate market will be a big advantage to you. And I do know my wife and I made what we hope is our last move just a couple of years ago. As a real estate professional, as long as I've been, I tend to be blunt, tell it like it is. I don't have a negative bone in my body, but I do make sure that my clients know all of the details and all of the factors that might affect their decision. And I do have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And on the last 2 transactions, selling our last home and buying our current home, my wife didn't fire me, and that's a good sign. Retiring in Georgetown, Texas can be wonderful and exciting, but only if you really understand neighborhood personalities, maintenance issues, location issues, market issues, and all the things that will affect whether you're completely happy where you land or caught by surprises that you wish you'd already known. If you're considering moving here and want clarity on the community and neighborhood that fits your lifestyle, not just your budget, reach out to me. Call, text, or use the link below to book an appointment. I'll walk you through the pros and the cons of each scenario, and we'll make certain that you're not going to have regrets that so many people do when they move here too quickly or don't get all the information that they should have. Remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day.